Welcome students to this class of physics, an initiative of Department of Technical Education, Training and Skill Development under Government of West Bengal. I am Priyobrata Banerjee, lecturer in physics, Bankura Government Polytechnic. Today I will discuss on the last sub-unit of your fifth unit, that is my topic of discussion is hydrodynamics. First you have to know what is fluid. Fluid is a substance that has no fixed shape and yields easily to external pressure. For example, gas or especially a liquid. So fluid has no fixed shape. It can get the shape of any container within which it is kept, and the shape of the fluid can be changed easily by external pressure. As you know that gas and liquid has no its own shape, it can get the shape of the container within which it is kept. So fluid also is a shapeless quantity. Next we have to know the types of fluids. First one is ideal fluid. Ideal fluid is such kind of fluid that cannot be compressed and
its viscosity is zero, that is non-viscous.
It is completely imaginary fluid which does not exist in reality. Next one is real fluid. All fluids that exist in real world, these are called real fluid, and it obviously possesses some viscosity. Next one is Newtonian fluid. When the fluid obeys Newton's law of viscosity, it is called Newtonian fluid. I think all of you know what is Newton's law of viscosity. I think it has been discussed in the last class. F equals to eta A dV dx. This is called the Newton's law of viscosity. So the fluids which will obey Newton's law of viscosity will be called Newtonian fluid. Next type is non-Newtonian fluid. So it is very obvious that the fluids which will not obey Newton's law of viscosity, this will be called non-Newtonian fluid. For example, blood within our body is an example of non-Newtonian fluid. Next one, the most important, this is the incompressible fluid. When the density of the fluid does not change with the application of external force, then this kind of fluid will be called incompressible fluid. Within this class, when I ever say the term fluid, you have to know that the fluid is incompressible fluid. Okay. Next one is compressible fluid. When the density of the fluid changes with application of external force, then it is known as compressible fluid. So in case of incompressible fluid, the density cannot be changed with the use of external pressure, and in case of compressible fluid, the density of the fluid can be changed by using external pressure. Now we will discuss on fluid dynamics. Fluid dynamics is actually a very small part of a very vast topic of fluid mechanics. Fluid dynamics deals with the motion of fluid under any kind of unbalanced force. The motion of this fluid continues unless and until the unbalanced force is withdrawn. That means whenever a fluid flows, then there must be some kind of unbalanced force due to which the fluid flows. For example, if we pour some kind of if we pour some water from a mug or from a glass, then this liquid or this water comes from the mug just because of the action of gravity. So here the unbalanced force is the gravitational force. Similarly, if we tilt a pipe within which there is some water, then the water also comes out from the pipe just because of the gravitational force. So here also the unbalanced force is gravitational force. If we take the mug in upward direction, then the water will not come, right? If we tilt the mug, then due to the action of gravity, the water will come out from the mug. So due to the presence of unbalanced force, the water will come out. That means the fluid will come into motion due to the unbalanced force. Next one, the most important topic you have to know, that is the streamline motion and turbulent motion. In fluid flow, there occurs basically two kinds of motion. First one is streamline motion and second one is turbulent motion. If we consider the liquid flow or fluid flow occurs in terms of some layers, then if the flow is streamline flow or laminar flow, then all the layers will travel in parallel to each other. In laminar flow, in this figure you can see the each and every layers are traveling in parallel to each other, and each and every particle at a certain point, a particle means fluid particle, at a certain point the velocity of that particle will remain constant with time, and the layers of this liquid or fluid will not mix with each other or will not cross with each other. It will flow perpetually parallel. Okay. In case of turbulent flow, the parallelness of the layers will be vanished. That means the layers will mix with each other. Here in this figure you can see the layers are mixing with each other, cutting with each other. So in laminar flow, the layers will not cut each other, but in turbulent flow the layers will cut each other, that will mix with each other, and each and every point the velocity will be different. That means in a particular point also, that in turbulent flow the velocity will change with time. One thing you should know, in case of laminar flow, at a particular point the velocity is constant with time, but at different point the velocity may be different. But in case of turbulent flow, at each and every point the velocity is different. Okay. Now we will discuss the comparative study of these two kinds of motion, and it will be more clear to you. At a certain point the velocity of fluid remains constant with time. In case of streamline motion, look in this side, at a certain point the velocity of fluid remains constant with time, but at different point the velocity may be different. Okay. But in case of turbulent motion, at a certain point the velocity of fluid does not remain constant with time. Second point, every fluid particle in a particular layer follows the path of its preceding particle in case of streamline motion. So each and every fluid particle will follow the path of its preceding particle in case of streamline motion, but in case of turbulent motion it is not obeyed. Okay. The third point, adjacent layers of the fluid do not mix with each other, but in case of turbulent motion obviously the layers will get mixed. Fluid layers do not cross each other in case of streamline motion, but the fluid layers will cross each other in case of this side, turbulent motion. Okay. Next point, fluid layers move parallel to each other. Here it is not possible, it moves in a zigzag manner in case of this side, turbulent motion. It occurs when the velocity is very low. Okay. When the velocity is low and the pipe diameter is very narrow. If the pipe is very narrow in diameter, then streamline motion will be possible and the velocity of the fluid must be low. In case of turbulent motion, the pipe diameter is broader and the velocity is comparatively high. The velocity of the fluid is less than the critical velocity. Critical velocity is a velocity under which the motion is streamline motion, and above it becomes turbulent motion. And the velocity is greater than the critical velocity in this side, turbulent motion. And here we will declare one term that is called the Reynolds number. Reynolds number I will discuss later. In case of streamline motion, Reynolds number is less than 2000, and in case of turbulent motion, Reynolds number is greater than 4000. Okay. Now in the previous slide, I have another picture where there is a transparent pipe within which water is flowing, and within this transparent pipe we have another dark tube within which ink is flowing. Okay. Now if we regulate the velocity of the water within this tube, if we keep the velocity low and if we release or inject the ink within it, then we see that the ink doesn't mix with the water. That means the motion is streamline motion. But now if we increase the velocity of the water within this tube, then we see that the ink is mixed with the water. This motion is turbulent motion. Okay. So in streamline motion, ink and water does not mix, but in case of turbulent motion, the ink and water get mixed. Fluid flow rate. Fluid flow rate. Fluid flow rate means mass flow rate of the incompressible fluid. Remember, the fluid is incompressible, is the rate of movement of a massive fluid through unit area. In simple words, it is the movement of mass per unit time. This is the most vital word, mass per unit time, mass of fluid flowing per unit time. This is the fluid flow rate. The formula is given as rho A V. So, where rho is the density, A is the cross-sectional area of the fluid, and V is the velocity of the fluid. Look, here I have drawn a figure. This is a cylindrical pipe and the cross-sectional area is A. Cross-sectional area of the cylindrical pipe is A. If we say the length is L, then what will be the volume of this cylinder or pipe? This will be volume equals to cross-sectional area into length. So, volume will be A into L. Now, if we say the velocity of the fluid is V centimeter per second, then what happens? Within 1 second, we can say the fluid travels V centimeter path. Now, if we say the length of this pipe is V centimeter, let us change this as V centimeter, then what will be the volume? A into V. A into V. Then we know that density equals to mass by volume. So, mass equals to density into volume. So, mass flow rate equals to density means rho and the volume is A into V. We got it? Rho A into V. This is written here. Look. So, mass flow rate or fluid flow rate equals to density into cross-sectional area into velocity of the fluid. Next is continuity equation. Continuity equation is actually based on the conservation of fluid mass flow rate. We have just discussed in the previous slide. So, in case of streamline motion of incompressible non-viscous liquid or fluid, the product of cross-sectional area of the pipe and the fluid speed at any point along the pipe is always constant. So, if we say the cross-sectional area is A and the velocity is V, then A into V equals to constant. This is called the continuity equation. Remember, the fluid must be incompressible and non-viscous fluid. Okay. So, this is the equation of continuity. So, here we see in the figure that there is a tube of non-uniform cross section. Here the area of cross section is A1, the velocity of fluid is V1. Here the area of cross section is A2, velocity is V2. So, here the product of area and the velocity is A1 V1, here it is A2 V2. So, according to the principle of conservation of continuity equation, according to continuity equation, you can write A1 V1 equals to A2 V2, right? This is the utility of continuity equation. Further, we will solve some problem on continuity equation. Next is Reynolds number. We have already know there are two kinds of motion. One is streamline motion, another is turbulent motion. Reynolds number is actually a dimensionless quantity which determines whether the motion is a turbulent motion or streamline motion. It is completely a dimensionless number. This is the mathematical form of Reynolds number. Rho Vd by eta. Rho is the density, V is the velocity of the fluid, d is the diameter of the pipe within which the fluid is flowing, and eta is the coefficient of viscosity. Here we have given a chart where we can see that there are different values of Reynolds number. There are two kinds of flow. One is pipe flow, another is open channel flow. In case of pipe flow or tubular flow, if the fluid flows within a tube, then if Reynolds number is less than equals to 2000, then we can say that the motion is a streamline motion, and if the Reynolds number is greater than 4000, then the motion is turbulent motion. And remember this formula, this Re equals to rho Vd by eta, this formula is actually valid for the pipe flow or tubular flow. The most important topic of this class is Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli's principle is another form of the conservation of energy. Okay, so here we see that in Bernoulli's principle it states that in case of streamline motion, the streamline motion of incompressible non-viscous fluid. Okay, this is very important term. You should write during the examination that the quality of fluid is the streamline motion of incompressible non-viscous fluid, the sum of the gravitational potential energy per unit volume and the energy associated with the fluid pressure per unit volume, and the kinetic energy per unit volume remains constant. Okay, so we see that there are three types of energy associated with the fluid flow. First one is the gravitational potential energy, and second one is the fluid pressure energy, and the third one is kinetic energy. Here these three types, the sum of these three types of energies per unit volume will remain constant, and the sum of these three energies remains constant throughout each point within the fluid in motion. So at each and every point of the fluid in motion, the sum of these three energies, the sum of these three energies will remain constant. Okay, so here we give the mathematical form of Bernoulli's equation, Bernoulli's principle. Here it is P plus half rho V square plus rho GH equals to constant. Here P is the pressure in energy per unit volume, PV is the pressure energy, and per unit volume pressure energy is P. So P is the pressure energy per unit volume, rho is the density of the fluid, V is the velocity, rho is the density, G is the gravitational acceleration, and H is the height of the fluid from the ground. Here the terms are written. Okay. Now in the next slide we will see another example, another figure. Here we see that there is a tube, and with respect to ground the fluid height is different at different points. So here the height is h1 say, and here the height is h2. Okay, so these are two different heights, fluids are at two different heights. Now what happens, the pressure energy per unit volume is P1. Here in this side the pressure energy per unit volume is P1, the velocity of the fluid is V1, and the height is h1. Now in this portion the velocity is V2, the pressure is P2, and the height is h2. Now according to the Bernoulli's principle, the mathematical form we can write P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho GH1 equals to P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho GH2. Here the velocity is different, pressure are different, but rho remains constant because the fluid is incompressible fluid. Now we will discuss the application of Bernoulli's theorem. Here the first example is blowing of roofs during the windstorm. This picture, this kind of phenomenon actually occurs in the Sundarban areas of West Bengal, where the roof is blown away during the storm. Okay, so how it occurs? Look, during the storm the air velocity outside the room is very high. So as the air is flowing at very high velocity, as per the Bernoulli's principle we know that the pressure energy will be low, but within the room the atmospheric pressure is there, almost atmospheric pressure is there. So here P1 is the outside pressure, which is low than the pressure within this house. The pressure within the house is P2, so P1 is less than this, P1 is less than P2. So there will be a net upward thrust, as the pressure is high within the room and the pressure outside the room is low. So there will be a net upward thrust to this roof, and the roof will be blown. Now the second example, the aerofoil lift in aircraft wing. We see this picture where we see that in aerofoil the upper curvature is higher than that of the lower curvature. Due to the higher curvature, the wind speed in the upper curvature will be higher than that of the wind speed in the lower curvature. So as per the Bernoulli's principle, as the air velocity is high, so pressure will be low in the upper side, and as the air velocity is low in the lower side, so the pressure will be high in the lower side. So here this pressure, this up to down pressure is less than the down to up pressure in the low side. So there will be a net upward thrust from bottom to the top to this aerofoil. So due to this thrust, the aerofoil will get an upward thrust and the aeroplane will go up. Okay. Next example is a Bunsen burner you see in the chemistry lab. Next one is a venturimeter. Here it is the rough diagram of venturimeter, where we see that venturimeter is actually used in oil industry or in abroad. In some countries water is chargeable. In our country water is not chargeable, but in abroad water is chargeable. So where how much water is consumed by a household, that can be measured by using this venturimeter instrument, or it actually measures the rate of flow of fluid, or by this we can determine how much amount of fluid is consumed by a household. Next example is in the design of carburetor of automobiles. The mechanical engineering students will learn what about the carburetors in the next in the future courses. Other uses are filters in pumps, filter pumps, atomizers and sprayers. Now we will discuss the problem on the continuity equation. Here the problem is a non-uniform tube has cross-sectional area at two ends 20 square centimeter and 5 square centimeter. Fluid within bracket incompressible, that is incompressible fluid is entering at velocity 10 centimeter per second. Now the question is find the velocity of fluid leaving the pipe. Okay, look here we know from the continuity equation that A1 V1 equals to A2 V2. We know it from continuity equation. A1 V1 equals to A2 V2. Here A1 is given, the cross sectional area in this left side, cross sectional area of this left side, it is given A1 equals to how much? A1 equals to 20 square centimeter. What is V1? Velocity in the left side, that is velocity of the fluid entering, this is given as 10. In the right hand side, the cross sectional area is A2, that is equals to given as 5 square centimeter. We have to find out the value of V2. We have to find out the value of V2. Now if we put this value in this equation, if we put the value of A1, put the value of V1 and put the value of A2, then we can calculate the value of V2. So do it yourself. Next problem is from the Bernoulli's principle. We read the problem first. Within a tube of uniform cross section, an incompressible fluid is flowing at a speed 2 meter per second. Pressure at inlet is 2 atmospheric pressure and its height from the ground is 5 meter. Find the pressure at outlet, which is at a height 10 meter from the ground. So this is an uniformly cross section fluid tube. The incompressible fluid is flowing within this. Here we see the pressure in the inlet, it is given as 2 atmospheric pressure. As we know from the continuity equation that A1 V1 equals to A2 V2. So as this in this tube A1 equals to A2, so V1 must be V2. A1 V1 equals to A2 V2. If A1 equals to A2, then V1 must be equals to V2. So here V1 is given, that is 2 meter per second. So similarly V2 will be 2 meter per second. So V1 equals to V2, that means both the velocities will be 2 meter per second. So here you see the pressure, there is a conversion formula is given here. 1 atmospheric pressure equals to 101325 Newton per meter square. So P1 equals to how much? 2 into this 101325. This is P1. P1 is given. What about rho 1? Rho 1 is the density of water. We know in SI unit the density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube. What about G? The value of G is given. We know the value of G is 10 meter per second square. That is the gravitational acceleration. H1 is given as 5. This is H1, 5 meter. What about H2? We have to find out this P2. we know the value of rho and g. Here this is the value of H2, this is H2, 10 meter, and these two terms, half rho V1 square and half rho V2 square, is cancelled because V1 equals to V2, so these two terms will be cancelled in both sides. Now if we calculate this, we will get P2 in the unit of Newton per meter square. If we divide this value by 101325, then we will get the value of P2 in atmospheric pressure unit. Please do it yourself. Thank you.